So I'm here with the guys from Green Gully, and we're going to be looking at the female program out there. Can you just briefly introduce yourself, starting off with Sam?
I'm the head coach, Sam Peruccio.
Greg?
Greg Ziegler, I'm the team manager for the girls at Green Gully.
And Andrew?
Andrew Tett, the assistant coach for both under 15, 16s and under 18s.
Awesome. To start off with, can you just give us a background on the program that's being run out there?
Okay, so basically, 2018, I was approached by the club to set up a female program.
Yep.
And the program started at the beginning of 2019. We started with one team last year, which was an under 15, 16 girls team. Basically, we ran trials in late October in 2018. And once those trials were completed, we commenced training pretty much that way to try and, obviously we had players from everywhere, never played with each other, so we had to quickly try to build a team. So we decided to start our pre-season a lot earlier.
Yep.
Hope of building a team cohesion and understanding to make up for all the new players that we had. In regards to the team, one of the first things that we set out was to look at the history of the club and make the players aware of Green Gully's history. Green Gully is a 10-year-old club that has a very rich history of being successful, and obviously the senior men's team sits at the, if you like, the apex of the Victorian soccer ladder. We wanted to make the players aware of that they weren't just coming here to have a good time. They were part of a club that has a rich history, and representing that jumper, obviously they had to play in a certain way.
Yep.
We then looked at the sort of character, if you like, of the club. So, like, obviously the history, the migration of immigrants to Australia, setting up the club, so they showed determination, adventure, a certain spirit of never give in, the mentality that's brought the club to where it is today. And we wanted those type of values reflected in the way the girls played. And that was something that we really pushed for. Apart from that, obviously, Greg and Andrew, they have a massive role to play in the team as well, because I set up the program, but they are sort of the guys that help really make it happen. Andrew in particular, he will sort of do the one-on-one talks with the players where I look at the general overview of running, and then Greg from an administrative point of view and also helping in the coaching side of it as well. That's his role. So I might hand over to one of them for now, and then I.
So just a question for Andrew and Greg. Sam mentioned that you tried to get the players, educate the players in the history of the club. How did you go about doing that?
Do you want me to go first, Andrew?
Yeah, go for it.
Look, I guess we focused a lot on player meetings with the club presidents, the TDs, the staff there. We made sure that they were well aware of the pictures in the rooms and what they all meant, and the people involved in starting the club. I think 1955 actually. So it's one of those situations where we didn't want people just to come to the club and feel, it's just another club and I'm entitled to be here. It's actually a bit of a privilege to play for the jumper, as Sam said, and to us, one of the things that Sam and Andrew are really good at is we actually had some quite young players in the team who played very well and was very successful in the end on the pitch as well. But the main thing for us was to focus on making sure we're developing good people as well, not just good players. And we were able to achieve that by not only obviously on the pitch behaviour, but off the pitch, and teaching them the history of the club and the expectations helped a lot in achieving that. So yeah,
I think that's a fantastic idea that you did that. Like you said, a lot of players just come into clubs and it's just another club. But yeah, it's great to hear.
We definitely made a point of involving them in watching the senior part of the club.
Yep.
Greg implemented a charity event that we played before a senior game.
Okay.
So to see how big the club was firsthand, walked the senior players out, and really drummed in the standards that they need to meet day in, day out, and that became a mantra through 2019.
Yeah, once again, brilliant to see and hear things like that. Sam, did you want to add anything to that?
Yep.
Yeah, so one of the things I wanted to add to that is that with the team itself, we wanted to make sure that it create a style that reflected the club. Mm-hmm. So obviously I mentioned the values, but we also had a way of playing that was very, tenacious, never give in. Those characteristics came through in the way we played, and that was drummed into the players from the very first training session.
Yeah.
I think also it's an exciting period to be involved at Green Gully because we're at a point where we can now take the teams into have a women's senior team next year. So the foundation is there. And the other thing I would add is in the first year that we started, was last year, we technically had no history. So we drew on the history of, but by season's end, we had our own history as a program. We had our own culture. So around the club, the girls are referred to as triple Gs, and everyone knows that term. And as I think Greg mentioned, it's now not, it's like a privilege or an honour get into that group and wear that jumper because you're representing something that has some history behind it and it wants to be successful. It wants to keep building. And we want to, in some ways, end up becoming, if you like, a shining light of the club. Because as Andrew mentioned with the, branded charity, so we were considered off the pitch as well as on the pitch for the club. We'll do, so there was a lot to encompass with the girls. It's not just, putting them on the park. There's a lot of other social aspects and community aspects that come with having females at the club. And, personally, to be involved with that, it's a great honour.
Exactly. Yeah, it definitely is. I love the charity side of things. Oh, I really want to cover that a little bit more, but maybe that's another episode in the future.
Okay.
But what I wanted to talk about was, I know you mentioned you had a 5-year plan. I just want to have a look at that. Sam, anyone, go for it.
Okay, well, with the plan, one of the first things we did probably about halfway through last season between myself, Greg and Andrew, sat down and essentially constructed a football pyramid. Yep. So what do we want 5 years the female program to look like? What is going to be the structure? So basically we started from, if you like, the apex of the pyramid, and we said we're going to have potentially 2 senior teams, One being the more elite and the other one being more the community pathway. Under that apex of 2 senior teams, we would have probably 4 competition teams. And below that, a sub-junior set of probably 2 or 3 teams, which we coined the Dream Academy. The point of the whole pyramid is that
Sam, it's the Green Academy.
The Green Academy. Sorry, yes,
Going
very right. The Green Academy. The Green Academy is, in essence, supposed to be self-sufficient, and what I mean by that, it creates its own players, and in the longer term, hopefully within 5 years, starts to generate its own coaches. So we want to see players come through the system, play the senior team, and then come back and be a coach, whether it be at junior level, competition level, or even involved in the senior team. So it's more than just, putting down a 5-year plan. We want to create with that pyramid, a system that is a developing system, a system that has a culture built into it, which every player that runs through that system, if you like, breathes the values of that system, and that encompasses how you behave at training, how you behave on the pitch, how you behave off the pitch, the style that we want to play, the values that that style represents. So the purpose of all that, if I could explain it in a simple way, is the 2 senior teams at the top of that apex, for them to be successful, they need a critical mass of youth, developing youth coming through, if you like, the funnel of that pyramid. So what we're doing is to create critical mass that feeds into that senior team. And basically, that's the purpose of the pyramid. We've already gone from 1 team to 4 teams season. Unfortunately, with COVID-19, they haven't seen much action. But with the under-18s team, which will be the future senior team, and the under-18 girls, we have if you like, a mentality or a culture where we all train together. We learn the same way. So there is, if you like, a blurring of the lines between the different age groups, and they learn the same way. And one of the critical things about the system that we've created, where it's, I think, very different to the current models that are out there, is it's not age-based, it's talent-based. So, and I'll just clarify that point. We have girls that are 13 and 14 years of age, but they've already been exposed to playing against senior women. We put them in against women. We did a tournament at the end of last year.
I saw that.
Yeah, so that's the point. It's about developing as many young players as we can, moving them up and down the pyramid where the challenges are. So some players will play more than 1 game on a weekend. They'll play in their age group, if you like, and in an older age group, to try and get more time into them to develop them at a faster rate. And in the end, obviously, within 5 years, that will create a mass of players, obviously, hopefully, catapulting us up the food chain.
Definitely. I love the idea, mate. Just to Andrew and Greg, very briefly, is there anything that's part of the 5-year plan off the field that hasn't been mentioned yet?
Oh, look, obviously Sam's talked about the on pitch, and part of the challenge in building all that is that we have to have the the foundations off the pitch as well, and in terms of sponsorship and facilities and all those kind of things. And one of our aims is to make Green Gully, let's call it a destination club for female football, because it's perfectly positioned, not from just location wise, but also the demographic in the northwest is perfect. But there are challenges because we are starting from scratch. Let's face it, in a sense of female football. So, from a facilities perspective, which is always a challenge for every club, whether it's male or female, but especially female, the way that female participation is growing and expected to explode pretty much now. The World Cup's going to be here. That's probably one of the challenges that we're facing. But between the three of us, we've always worked hard off the pitch and on the pitch. I'll let Andrew speak about the sponsorship.
Yep.
But we're seeing there's a lot of opportunities out there, but there's also got to be a plan to show, well, this is what we're building on the pitch, which Sam just spoke about, and this is how we're going to back it up. Because you don't want to get to the end of the 5 years or 3 years or whatever, and then we want to leave a legacy. Let's put it that way. We want this program to run without any of us being there one day. It's one of those things where in 20 years time, 30 years time, we're going to look back and say, well, it's still going, and just like the most successful clubs. But Andrew, perhaps you can speak about the sort of the challenges we have, opportunities and sponsorship and those kind of things.
I think one of the things that it was important that we recognise that from a senior perspective for ladies, young ladies, we give them the opportunity at more than one level. There's a demographic that really want to play as high as they can at a senior level, but also there's that group that want to play social soccer as hard as they can, but can't commit as much as some others. So that two senior teams is really important to be able to capture the different levels of commitment, so that we don't lose the girls that want to continue to play. From a sponsorship point of view, I think off the field, we've been able to achieve quite a bit so far in the 2 years that we've been running, and that'll continue to grow. So it's important that we feed that back into the girls program as much as we can, commitment, so that we can build the facility side of things. That probably the biggest hole in football at the moment is just to have that facility that it needs to be their own. It's not right to share facilities with male and females these days. So it's really important that we grow in that area and lead the growth from a female football point of view.
Sounds good. Thank you guys for your time. Thank you for coming on and
no problem.
Giving us your insight of what's happening out there. Women's football is expanding, and it's fantastic to see programs like this.
Thank you very much for giving us the opportunity.
That's right. Thanks.
Thank you.